All right, claim your blessing. Claim it, claim it. I love it. These guys are from Chattanooga, and I was going to mention Chattanooga this morning. Isn't that amazing? I'm talking about prosperity today, the path to true prosperity. And before I got the job here, I was actually interviewing to be the Unity minister in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I know that town. We have a lot of Course in Miracles friends down in that area. And that's how I ended up there and found the Unity people. And they had an opening at that time. And one of the things during the interview, I guess I wasn't wearing the suit. And I didn't have a nice watch at the time. And I don't know what I appeared to be like. But they said, boy, they don't appear to be very prosperous and abundant. And I went, oh, great. Because I love it when people give their perceptions based on what they're seeing and not based on an inner experience. Because when they ask the question of me, how do you define prosperity? Well, how do you see prosperity? Immediately, what came to mind and what came out of my mouth was your ability to give. How much are you giving in the world? Because I have, for many years, have had a habit, let's say, of making sure my wallet was empty at the end of the day. Making sure I gave myself away totally to whatever I was doing. Totally and completely. Be present in the moment, giving yourself 100% to who is right in front of you, to the people that are around you, and to your purpose for that day. Give yourself 100%. Don't hold back because there's no tomorrow. Today is the only day we have. And tomorrow, when you're standing there, will be today. So it didn't make sense to me that I would be saving up or accumulating wealth as an indication of my prosperity. It never occurred to me. Never at all. How much you can give away. How much energy of the universe is flowing through you is the indication of your prosperity consciousness. How much of the time you're in the consciousness of God. That is the prosperity consciousness with which I live. And it turns out, I've been reading all these books, everyone agrees with me. Isn't that amazing? Charles Fillmore agrees with me. Jim Rosemergy agrees with me. What's the other guy? Spiritual economics. Eric Butterworth agrees with me. Catherine Ponder agrees with me. Edwin Gaines seems to agree with this principle as well. Your ability to be aware of God's abundance, being in God consciousness is the supply. Now, during the week, I've been reading from these books, and I came up with a definition of true prosperity. True prosperity is the ability to find your soul's purpose. What is my purpose? What is my soul's purpose? Listening, getting in touch with what is my true soul's purpose, and then use it to bring more good to the world. Because prosperity is not measured by how much you have, but by how much you give. Prosperity is different than abundance. And I want to make this distinction because a lot of people think prosperity and abundance are the same thing. Not really. Abundance is the recognition of the ever-present, inexhaustible, divine substance of God within and all around us. That everything is ours. The whole universe, that's abundance. That everything we can imagine is right here, right now. But prosperity is the ability to manifest that abundance through a consciousness of God into what is most needed for your highest good or to fulfill your soul's purpose. So prosperity is your ability to use the ever-present abundance. But I have to say, it must be in ways that benefits everyone and everything, or it's not true prosperity. It's just accumulating things. And Guess what? When your little version of yourself is over, what do all those things mean? You can't take them with you on the next part of your journey. So true prosperity would be the ability to absorb that which you can take with you on the next part of your journey. The ability to expand into higher consciousness. The ability to evolve as a spiritual consciousness. Prosperity has to do with consciousness, with shaping substance. Remember we talked about faith? Charles Fillmore's definition of faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with your power to shape substance. And so using the power of your faith is how we develop true prosperity. We are truly rich. When we think of all those things, thank you, Joanne, all those things that we're grateful for, that's a feeling, that's an energy, and that energy is what is eternal, stays with you. The material indications of that prosperity come and go. What does it say in the Bible? Don't store up your riches on earth, where they're going to decay, where thieves can take it away from you and it'll rust and moths will come in and destroy your closet full of clothes that you bought at the Men's Warehouse. That happened to me. Yeah, the clothes got all moldy and the moths came and I left them at my mom's house for too long. Isn't that funny? So we're trying to store up things on earth. Never works. You don't even value them. I didn't even really value all that stuff. When it came time to sell the house, I was looking for somebody to just take it all. Just come with a big truck and take it all. I don't want any of it. Because we're moving to another adventure. The most valuable thing about that house was my relationship with my mom. It wasn't the things, it wasn't the house, it wasn't the property. It turned out that relationship was the most important thing. And that continues into the next adventure. That always will be with us. So I was reading this book this week by Jim Rosemergy, and it's wonderful. It's very practical. Unity is practical Christianity, right? It's the practical applications of the teachings of Jesus the Christ. So Jim Rosemergy, in this book, it's called Even Mystics Have Bills to Pay. He says something very interesting, and I want us to get this. God is not supply. God is our source. It's always available. But the universal mind of God is not supplying you with your needs. Why? Because God doesn't have needs. Doesn't perceive needs. Why would his creations or her creations need anything? When you have everything, what do you need? The whole universe is yours. God doesn't supply needs. A consciousness of God is the supply. My consciousness of God is my supply. Isn't that amazing? So I'm not praying now on my hands and knees for God to, bring me something from out there. I'm sitting quietly praying in meditation in the affirmative manner, affirming the power of God within me to manifest whatever is for my highest good. And guess what? It happens every time. Why? Because it's already here. It's already here. We got a great demonstration of that this morning, didn't we? We have this chart. We're out in the hallway. We're doing a fundraiser for the minister's salary, and we have a lighthouse, and this little guy climbing up the lighthouse, and it has a little red marker, and I left the red marker out there. And it was supposed to be at $21,000, this little guy climbing up the lighthouse. And we noticed somebody had taken the red marker and put it up like 10,000 more. And he put the little guy, which is supposed to be a likeness of me, put him way up, way up on the lighthouse. And we're like, who did this? And somebody said, looks like a 4-year-old did that. And John said, that looks like a Zachary. Now, for those of you that don't know Zachary, that's John's grandson. He's 16 years old, and he comes around, he hangs around with John around here. And so he immediately said, no, this guy is to be going up. He's claiming the blessing. He's claiming the blessing before it happens. It's already here, guys. You just put him up there. What are you doing down here? That's what I'm claiming now. I'm claiming this place is full, okay? What are we doing? Still wondering what's going on down here. Let's just see it full and show up on Sundays, or we'll turn off the live feed. We'll call it the thunderstorm knocked it out. I'm just kidding. I love our guys who join us every Sunday by way of their computers. It's amazing. And we're touching a lot more people than we think. We are a lot more prosperous than we think. So this wonderful book I've been reading is shifting my mind deeper into the consciousness of God. God being the universal life force behind all things, that which stands under. That's what substance means, substare, to stand under, the foundation of things. Right? You guys know that word in Latin? It's that which stands under or is the foundation of all. Right? When you're building, you need a good substrate or foundation in order to build. And the higher you want to go, the stronger your foundation has to be and the deeper you have to build it. And so it's time to go within, to build that foundation, to build the substance of God within your own consciousness. Abundance is the expanded awareness of that substance. And prosperity is the actual supply of that abundance through our consciousness. It's very simple, but it's important that we activate it in that way. Otherwise, we're all over the place and our energy is going all over the place. It's not focused. It's not standing on a firm foundation. I want to be on a firm foundation of truth. Then I can expand more. If I'm not, I'm just going to be, when the winds blow, I'm going to be all over the place. I need to have that substance in my consciousness. I have to have that foundation. So Charles Fillmore defines prosperity as the consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere present resource. So I'm glad I broke it down, because the abundant, everywhere resource is activated by the consciousness of God in you. And if you read a little more, if I tend to just grab the revealing word because it's the Reader's Digest version of everything. But if you read a little more, like if you read this book, Prosperity, Edwene Gaines calls it Charles Fillmore's master work. She thinks it's his best writing of all his many, many, many books, of all of his teachings, of all of his offerings, of the practical way to demonstrate the teachings of Jesus. She says this book is the pinnacle. So what he's saying here about prosperity is that it's the consciousness of God. It's the same thing that every single one of these people that I've been reading says. The consciousness of God in you is your supply. It's not out there. It's within you. The more we learn to live in that consciousness, the more abundance flows into our lives, the more prosperous we are. Now, one of the other key assertions that Jim Rosemary makes in his book is that God does not fill needs. If you focus on your needs, you're always going to need something. It doesn't matter how much you accumulate, you're going to need more. That's USA in these times. More is never enough. You always want more and more and more and more and more. It never fills the need, because the real need is God. The real need is connection with the source. The real need, what you're really looking for, is not material wealth. Material wealth can be a good indication of that, but the real need behind it all, the real desire, let's say, it's not really a need because it's already fulfilled. But the real desire for all of us is to get in touch with that truth. That's why I call it the path to true prosperity, because we're getting more in touch with that which we are, with all the universe that is ours already. So I want to say that again. God does not fill needs. We keep praying to fill that need. God doesn't perceive needs. Universal mind doesn't perceive anything lacking in any situation. And the more that we can get into our consciousness that nothing is lacking in this situation, there is nothing lacking here except what I am failing to bring to it. That's A Course in Miracles. The only thing that could possibly be lacking in any situation is what you are failing to bring to it. Holy mackerel. Because we're always standing around talking to each other, if they would do this and if they would do that, and if only this out there would change, I would be happy. We'd have the best country. We'd have the best world. We'd have everything would change for me. All of a sudden, I would find peace and happiness if they would start thinking the way I do. It's not going to work because the way you think is different than how you thought yesterday, isn't it? Isn't it different than what you were thinking just a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago? But the essential truths that you experience will always stay the same. That's why Jesus said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Because the truth is universal, it's eternal, and it's now. It never changes. All the other aspects of how you experience life change. Your thinking is going to change. True prosperity is gathering unto yourself that which doesn't change. Truth. Gathering unto yourself. And allowing that to be what you are. Let it be who you are. Instead of just talking about it every single day as something outside of us. That's what we tend to do, even the spiritual teachers. Even mystics have to change their mind sometimes. Even mystics have bills to pay. Even mystics are learning and growing. Even mystics fall into the trap of the ego, thinking that the truths that they are teaching are out there and not within them. That they can just teach it to you and not demonstrate it. It's not possible. You will always teach what you are. You always teach what you believe yourself to be and what you're demonstrating in this world. You can teach all the concepts you want, but if you're not demonstrating it, it doesn't mean anything. It has no energy. You might gather a lot of egos around you, but it doesn't have any energy, transformative energy. We are transforming lives, and we're celebrating the love that we share, and we're creating community around that love and transformation. Because it's my authentic experience. But even mystics have to revisit this experience on a daily basis. Every single day, every moment of every day, I have to enter into the God consciousness. I have to stay in the God consciousness, and I have to commit myself to being in that consciousness. I'm just going to go to the end here. By acknowledging the power and presence of spirit, what happens? We immediately activate that unlimited resource of divine substance. Right then and there, we begin to shape that substance by the power of our mind. But that's why prayer works no matter how you pray or who you pray to or what your prayers sound like or what language they're in or if they're silent or have words or any of that. Because the universe doesn't hear words. The universe operates by vibration, frequencies of vibration. Does everybody understand that? So if you understand that everything is operating by vibration, you have to be aware of your vibration. And if you're acknowledging and if you're really in contact with the truth, because when you're in that vibration, all things are yours. True prosperity is remembering that the universe is yours. You don't need any of that other stuff. Let it go. It never had any value whatsoever. Your contact with the truth of the universe is the only thing that has value. So I'd like to call this process active prayer, acknowledging and connecting with the consciousness of God. It's at that moment that you realize that all your needs are already met. What does it say in the Bible? That God answers your prayers even before you say them. Why? Because it's already here. That was Zachary putting me up at the top of the board. Okay, it's done. The money's already here. And you know what? In a couple of months, we'll look at the board and we'll say, Zach was right. The money is already here. Right, maybe next week. Maybe it is already here. Isn't that incredible? So it's already here in the form of divine substance or energy. But it's up to us to have the consciousness of God to shape it into the substance that we need in that moment. And that's where all the fun is, right? I want you guys to have fun. Come on, I want your life to be amazing. I want you to be shaping substance in all kinds of ways that fulfills your highest good. Excitement! That's today. I'm so excited about this because I came back through these teachings to remember that I have no needs, basically. But all the needs I perceive are already met. It's amazing. It's amazing that God, the universe, doesn't perceive needs, but your needs are already met. Any needs you could possibly perceive. It's just incredible. I love that. It's not a trick of words. I'm not trying to play with your mind. I'm just trying to remember that all things are given you right now. And that's the first step to true prosperity, is to remember all things are already given you and that you manifest it by the power of your God consciousness. This is something, the last thing I'm going to share with you today from the book Prosperity, is that in bringing forth the manifestation of God's abundant supply, you have to take the first step by saying, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be understanding. Course in Miracles says that miracles are seen in light. They're already there, but you see them when your consciousness is clear, when you're in the light. And light and strength are one. If you want strength, if you want power, dwell in the light. So here's Charles Fillmore. He says, in bringing forth the manifestation of God's abundant supply, take the first step by saying, let there be light. That is, let there be understanding. You must have a clear perception of the principle and back of the proposition, God will provide. The one universal, eternal substance of God, which is the source of all, must be discerned and relied on, while the dependence on material things must be eliminated from thought. So long as you depend on money alone, you're worshiping a false god, and you have not discerned the light. You must first enter into the understanding of God, omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, as the source. It is the source, and that is which you can draw upon. You can draw upon that source without limit if you establish the light in your mind. You have begun to demonstrate, and then you can go on to the next step. The first step in true prosperity is to bring the light, to discern the light, is to live in the light, is to be the light. That's the very first step. And from there, next week, we'll go on to the second step in true prosperity. I love you guys. Thank you for being the light in my life.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.